Hak na yan, hak na. Kayo naman, kayo naman. Yung hak yan.
So welcome, dear Secretary Dureza, Secretary and Panel Chair, Mr. Bello, Professor Jose Maria Sison, Chief Political Consultant, and Chairperson of the NDFP Negotiating Panel, Mr. Fidel Acauli, distinguished panel members, and distinguished members of the House of Representatives, dear both delegations, dear friends, welcome. We would like to start by wishing you a warm welcome to Oslo, round 2, on behalf of the entire RNG team. In August, we had a very successful resumption of the formal peace negotiations between the GRP and the NDFP. And this resulted in an unprecedented joint statement. And in the time that has followed the resumption, the parties have made substantial efforts to inform different sectors of society on the peace process. And I think we all agree that the unexpected result of the referendum in Colombia is a reminder of how important it is to get all stakeholders on board. So I'm very pleased to see that we have observers today, among them the members of the House of Representatives. So since August, the parties have also had several productive meetings in the Philippines, among others on the topics of ceasefire and on the JMC. And the parties have also enjoyed dinner together at the Presidential Palace. And this continuous dialogue between the two sides is a sign of the mutual trust between you. And this is a trust that will unavoidably be challenged at times, which make this continuous dialogue all the more important. So we are now embarking on the second round of formal talks in a serene atmosphere by the Oslo fjord. And although we expect challenging discussions on substantive issues in the coming days, we are also confident that the parties will skillfully maneuver these and that it will be a productive round of talks that will bring us closer to an end to the conflicts. And before I give the floor to the parties for their opening statements, we would like to express our gratitude to former chairperson for the NDFP negotiating panel, Carl-Louis Hallandone. While being a very skilled and respected negotiator, Mr. Benito Tiamson. Hey. Mr. Tiamson is a very addition to the panel, and we look forward to working even closer with you in the time to come. This being said, it is time for me to give the floor to both sides for their opening statements. So please, Secretary Dureza, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Beth. You're really an inspiring part of this work that we have today. Our friends on the other side of the table and on our side of the table and all the others who are here, Let me first express heartfelt thanks to the Royal Norwegian government for making possible again the second round of meetings we have. You know, this is an awesome group. We have about 100 participants coming from both sides. And I can see the big task that you have exerted to make this welcome very warm, and that we'll be here for the next few days. So thank you very much. But I think the more substantive contribution of the Royal Norwegian government is really making things happen. These negotiations across the table would not have been really this good and somehow achieved some milestones without the assistance of the Royal Norwegian government. And of course, we have been charmed by the chair herself, Ambassador Elizabeth Slotton, and the senior advisor. We'd like also to first welcome the new chair, Fidel Acawile. Although he says that we should not have a celebratory welcome, but really an expression of condolence. But we feel that he's coming in as an able replacement of Kalui, who had also been a guiding light in our work. With Chair Fidel, we are very confident that we can move also the peace process as equally as have been ably handled by Kalui Halandone. So congratulations to your coming. Very significant during this round is actually the physical presence of the members of Congress are all here. And may I have the privilege of introducing them. We have the Deputy Speaker, no less, of the House of Representatives, by Sandra Sema of Cotabato, Mindanao. She is not only in her own right an activist, but she is married to a revolutionary, Musema of the MNLF. Although she's the boss here of different mosques. Next to her would be the chair of the Committee on Peace of the House of Representatives, Congresswoman Ruby Sahali of Tawi-Tawi, down south. And next to her is the Congresswoman from North Cotabato, who has been dealing with the IP's concern, and herself an IP, our Congresswoman Nancy Patamco. So you see that we can only provide beauties rather than the members of Congress with their presence. Let me introduce from Pangasinan, the Congressman from Pangasinan, Congressman Batawil. And Congressman Jess Sakdalan from North Cotabato, who has been in the local government for a long time and now member of Congress. And of course, Congressman Sagani Zarate, who has been an active. I can see that there is a secret support alongside of the chair. Now I am doubting on which side the reason why they have volunteered to come is because whatever outcomes we have from these negotiations, we'll have to go to Congress. And we don't want to see what happened to the previous agreements that were signed that never saw the day of light in Congress. Now, with them being part of the whole process, we are assured. Thank you very much. One final word is, we have noticed recently what happened with the peace agreement in Colombia. And we thought that even before the Colombian experience, we thought that while we have to address across the table, we have always also believed that there is a bigger table outside, although they're not active participants in the negotiation, that we must see to it that they also buy in and have some kind of an ownership in what we are agreeing across the table. To be assured that when we come up with a final peace agreement, if at all we come to that point, that we will see the bigger stakeholders supportive of the outcomes coming from this table. So with that, we'd like to thank everyone and hope that the continuing effort that we are going to give today will be pursued further, and we will not stop relentlessly until we achieve a final peace agreement across the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this inspiring. I will hand over the floor to.
I wish to reiterate the big I need to change. I wish to reiterate through its esteemed special of the Norwegian. I would like to thank my compatriots in the negotiating table. I continue to believe that the negotiations will continue to be fruitful. The most important thing is that the two sides always have in mind the democratic and the national and democratic rights and interests of the entire Filipino people as a common point of reference. Thus, despite differences in certain respects, I'm sure that in general we can conduct non-controversial adversarial negotiations in a sort of win-win situation. I'm confident about this because the leading factors on both sides of the negotiations are determined to carry out the peace negotiations to a successful conclusion within a short period of time, possibly 1 to 2 years. It is possible, even 1 year. It remains to be seen how fast we can agree for the benefit, the common benefit of our people. And President Duterte has made manifestations that he's open to the principles and policies which National Democratic Front stand for. And you have witnessed legal and progressive forces in the Philippines welcome so many times the pronouncements made by President Duterte. So the reaction of the progressive forces are quite different from their reaction to previous presidents, despite, of course, the attempts of certain international and Philippine forces to put the Duterte government in a more difficult situation. So, and in the assessment of the first 100 days, the leading patriotic and progressive organizations have made a conclusion that the Duterte government is doing well. And one of the strong points of the Duterte government is yes, one of the one of the strong points of the Duterte government is, of course, the accelerated process of peace negotiations. I believe that if we can give priority to rendering justice to all the political prisoners, Arroyo and Aquino, the Carril, I think President Duterte has done well in giving due respect to the JASIG and releasing the JASIG protected political consultants of the National Democratic Front of the Philippines. And we on the side of the NDF hope that by the grant of amnesty to all the political prisoners, that would be an effective and immediate way of rendering justice to those who have been unjustly incarcerated through the multiplication of trumped-up charges of common crimes. According to President Duterte in his last conversation with his NDF guest, he doesn't like yung tilarin yung what should have been a simple case of rebellion, and just to keep people in prison. All sorts of common crimes are raised, despite information referring to NPAs, to alleged NPA incidents. So I hope that with the rendering of justice to all the political prisoners and with compliance with Karil, I suppose this would be a strong incentive for the accelerated peace process we're trying to carry out, and also this would serve as incentive to a more stable bilateral ceasefire, which can endure until the end, until we come to the last comprehensive agreement on the end of hostilities and disposition of forces. So I end my brief remarks with the highest confidence that we shall achieve more in the second round of talks.
So thank you so much, Professor Sison. Your statement gives hope for good progress during this round. The mic is in your hands, Secretary Bello.
Thank you, Madam Elizabeth, Madam Marian. Nababaguan ako. Chairman Fidel Acoili, and the members of the NDF, CPP-NPA panel, with the Chief Political Consultant, Manujo. In behalf of the honorable members of the House of Representatives and my Secretary, Jess Duresa, and the members of my panel, I am privileged to open today the second round of formal talks with the NDF. I am confident that the steadfastness of both parties in resuming the peace talks last month will continue to animate our task for this round of talks, which are the harmonization of the exchange draft frameworks and outlines of our respective working committees on socio-economic reforms, political and constitutional reform, and end of hostilities and disposition of forces. As we agreed in August, our working committees are supposed to discuss and agree during this round on a common draft agreement, then designing by the panels of the joint ceasefire this month, as we also envisioned during the last round of talks, is being awaited by our public, especially by those communities that continue to be prejudiced by the armed conflict. The significant impact, we note that the ceasefire is holding until this day of the table which should inspire us to advance the negotiations. In this round of talks, let us also recognize the need to complete the negotiations in the next 12 months. Duterte administration to efficiently implement agreements that we will be able to reach until the implementation of these agreements. I also take this opportunity to acknowledge the designation of Capidel as the new chairman of the NDF panel, although I would have preferred
Condolence ka eh.
I also thank Tony for his contribution to the peace talks. I trust he will continue to journey with us in seeking a negotiated political settlement of the island. Our Royal Norwegian government, our third-party facilitator, for their enabling support to our peace process. As I stated earlier, we also acknowledge the presence of the members of the House of Representatives. Their being part of the process will surely enlighten our work and our journey to peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Bello. Now, the new chairperson of the negotiating panel of the NDF will have the honor of having the last word.
Yes. No, I definitely lack the diplomatic skills of Louis. So I will not. I do not know how to begin. Do I acknowledge? Okay, I will acknowledge Secretary Duresa, Secretary Delio, the GRP panel, Ambassador Elizabeth Slapson, Special Envoy or what? Members of our panel, including Chief Political Consultant Jose Maria Sison, our Senior Advisor, Luis Landoni, ladies and gentlemen. Galing ba?
Pwede na.
Ayan, gang na. Magandang hapon sa ating lahat. This opening statement, magandang gabi sa ating lahat. This opening statement will be brief. As the newly appointed chairperson of the NDF negotiating panel, I intend to pursue the policies of the revolutionary movement on the peace negotiations as ably carried out by my predecessor and now senior advisor, Chairperson Luis Landoni. Let me tell you frankly that I do not relish this new role. I was content to be an ordinary member of the panel and sometimes to be appointed as emissary to the GRP, to then Presidents Cory Aquino and Fidel Ramos, and now to President Rodrigo Duterte. But rest assured that I will do my best to accomplish the task that has fallen on my shoulders. My opening statement focuses on the issue of the release of all political prisoners as a matter of justice and in compliance with the Joint Agreement on Safety and Immunity Guarantees and the Comprehensive Agreement on Respect for Human Rights and International Humanitarian Law. The most effective method of release is through an amnesty proclamation as offered by President Rodrigo Duterte himself. The release of all political prisoners through amnesty was offered by President Duterte during my first meeting with him on 16 May 2016 in connection with the resumption of the peace negotiations. Compared to the various methods that I had recommended, such as archiving, bail, release on recognizance, etc., he stated that granting amnesty would be the most effective mode in releasing the JASIC protected persons, the sick, elderly, women, and long-term detainees for humanitarian reasons, and all the political prisoners. His offer was made in the presence of a current member of the GRP panel, a congressman who is now in our midst in this current round of talks, as a member of the delegation from the House of Representatives, and several other persons. Now, I am mentioning this in order to clarify that the proffered amnesty proclamation pertains to the political prisoners and not to a general amnesty that is mutually extended to the forces of both parties in the final settlement of an armed conflict. We should not muddle these two amnesty concepts, lest we be accused of intending to make use of the political prisoners as a leverage or hostage to secure advantage across the negotiating table or to demand capitulation of one side to another. The continuing detention of the more than 400 political prisoners is manifestly a grave injustice. It does not befit a regime that wants to bring about change by engaging in peace negotiations with the revolutionary movement and the Moro people. We should bear in mind that their continuing detention is a blatant violation of the Carril. They are unjustly detained on trumped-up charges of common crimes in violation of the Hernandez political offense doctrine that has been enshrined in the Carril. President Duterte himself, in his conversation with the NDF lawyers and GRP panelists on 15 August 2016 in Malacanang Palace, reaffirmed his belief in the correctness and justness of the 1956 Philippine Supreme Court decision on the case against Amado V. Hernandez on rebellion complex with common crimes. The NDFE stands firmly in calling for the release through amnesty of the 432 political prisoners, not only as a matter of justice, but also in basic compliance of the Carril. The release will undoubtedly serve as an incentive in accelerating the peace negotiations and in forging a more stable ceasefire agreement. We hope we can resolve these crucial issues so that we can move forward. Maraming pong salamat. I forgot, I should mention that we have some gifts.
Oh, wow!
Oh, belated because last time we forgot to bring the gifts. So now we have the gifts.
Oh, wow. Queso, queso.
Hindi queso. No, because you can get queso naman in the airport. Ito ay products of the political prisoners.
Oh,
So we thought it's something.
Okay.
Ibang klase, ano?
Sarap na rin tayo.
Wala, nabigay na doon natin. Yung last nga, dahil wala silang pang-exchange.
Naiiwan ko sa bahay kasi manang Connie yung ano nyo eh. Ibibigol ko sa inyo eh.
Ganda.
Sir, just patingin niya po.
And then, ito for the rest of the, hindi lang para sa panel.
We can feast on that as we discuss across the table. Okay.
This is for the RAG.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is also
Gawa ba ng NDF?
for the RAG.
Thank you so much.
That's made in the Cordelia.
Maraming salamat po. May I see it, Ambassador? May I see it? Yeah.
Ba't na daw eh? Tanggal mo daw yung iyo para daw for the media camera.
Really?
Pero mali ang coloring eh. Mataas ang kulay.
Hindi, blue ang taas. Blue ang taas. Blue. Kung neutral, pwedeng ganito lang.
Thank you, Manang Connie. I'm really sorry I forgot my gift for the food group. I ordered it in Surigao. Oo. Pero we can send it. Baka naman may darating sa inyo doon. Doon ko na bibigay, ha? Okay. Oo, sayang ito.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.